everybody, I'm Tom and this is Shifter, a channel about urban cycling and bike commuting. Welcome to you new subscribers out there, and if you like this video, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos. I live in Canada, so I'm pretty well versed in the art of staying warm while riding my bike in the wintertime. But when it comes to staying cool while on a bike in the summer, my skills are pretty meh. Thankfully, I have a secret weapon when it comes to staying cool, and that is you, because I asked everyone in the Shifter community a couple of weeks ago for some tips on staying cool in the summertime while riding a bike, and I was kind of overwhelmed. There was a great response and I was flooded with amazing tips. So today I thought I would share some of those tips back with you. So I really wanted to give a shout out to those people who gave me the specific suggestions, but to be honest, I got so overwhelmed with suggestions that I kind of lost track. So thank you so much. The community out there is amazing. The Shifter community is so great. I'm so appreciative of all of you. So if you gave a suggestion that I mentioned today, thank you. You know who you are. So I'm going to boil down the suggestions to some key ones, and there's like 20 of them today. And I actually got so many that I'm going to make two videos. One, which I'll do in a couple of weeks, is about suggestions on what to wear to stay cool in the summertime while riding a bike. But today is more about tips for riding. All right, let's go. Okay, let's deal with some of the low-hanging fruit. First, the low-hanging fruit in this case being a bag. I'm sure a lot of you out there carry your stuff in a backpack. Well, I'm here to say, ditch the backpack. That should be your first step. Get a back rack with some panniers or a bag or a basket to put all your stuff in it. In the summertime when it's hot, a backpack will just make you sweat. In fact, wearing a backpack in the wintertime will probably make you sweat. Just ditch the backpack in general. Get everything off your back and put it on your bike. That's what it's for. Carrying stuff. Now some tips for riding. Here's an easy one. Slow down. The slower you go, the less you'll sweat. I know this is hard for some of you, but it's kind of a no-brainer. Slow down to stay cool. Next tip, choose your route carefully. If you go for the shadier streets or the leafier streets or down in a river valley or any kind of valley, it tends to be a bit cooler. You may have to go a bit out of your way to get there, but it might be worth it if you can stay a little bit cooler and avoid the sweat. Now, if you're sticking to the river valleys or the valleys of any kind, or if you have valleys in your city, that means at some point you're probably going to have to come out of the river valley, which means hills. You have to climb a hill. Well, sometimes climbing a hill might be better if you just get off your bike and walk. I find sometimes walking is just as sweaty as riding, so it's up to you. Figure it out, whatever works best for you. You can also adjust your pedaling to help. Coast as much as possible. This will help keep your speed down and keep your pedaling as calm and fluid as you can. The goal here is to avoid any sudden muscle surges that would get your heart rate up and get your body sweating a bit. So keep things calm and fluid as much as possible. You might also want to think about adjusting the times of day that you ride. Of course, early mornings and later in the evenings is going to be cooler. The sun is a bit lower on the horizon, so it's not going to be beating down on you so much. So if you can adjust your workday a little bit earlier or a little bit later, maybe go for it. Not possible for everyone, but any little adjustment you can make is probably worth it. We should also talk about hydration, of course. Having water with you on a hot day is crucial. You don't want to get dehydrated, so put it in the bottle cage on your bike or in your basket or pannier. And now for the controversial bit, is there are a couple people who suggested avoiding coffee on hot days. Coffee can dehydrate you, so if you avoid it in the morning, you're probably less likely to get dried out and dehydrated. And you know, if you are dehydrated, it's going to affect the way you feel all day long. So I know it might be tough for some of you, but maybe replace the coffee with water on those really hot days. Another tip is to ride underneath every sprinkler you see, which is a good idea. I just can't seem to find any sprinklers right now. It also leads to some other suggestions people had, which was to like soak your shirt or dunk your hat in water. But if you're going somewhere like to work or shopping, I think the last thing you want to do is arrive drenched in water. So that's a suggestion that you'll have to think about. And of course, sunscreen is probably your friend. I mean, I usually try to cover up rather than use sunscreen, but on some days it's unavoidable. Don't be shy about using it when you need to. I find when you're riding a bike, it's the tops of your arms and the back of your neck that get it the most. So to avoid that red neck, and no, that's not where the phrase came from, but avoid the red neck and the red arms, use sunscreen if you have to. Okay, let's talk about your bike. There's a couple of things you can do to help keep things cool, and this seems a bit strange, but make sure your tires are inflated as much as possible, and also make sure your chain is lubed and clean and ready to go, which this one is not great, but listen to what I'm saying, not what I'm doing. The goal here is just to make your bike as efficient as possible. You don't want to waste any energy on underinflated tires or a chain that's kind of slack, so just make sure your bike is in top working order. A couple of percentage points of efficiency may make a big difference on a hot day for you. For urban transportation and bike commuting, the hardest part in the summertime often is arriving at your destination without being overly sweaty. And there's a few things you can do to avoid smelling like a sweatshop the rest of the day once you arrive there, according to the shifter community. Number one is take a cool shower just before you leave in the morning. Not only does this feel good, it will bring your body temperature down when you're first starting your ride. It may give you a few extra sweat-free minutes before you get to your destination. The second suggestion was to just deal with the sweat as quickly as possible. So bring a little hand towel or towel when you arrive at work or wherever you're going, sneak away into the washroom and clean yourself up. Get that sweat off you as quickly as possible, and it should help avoid you smelling all day long. One thing you can do in a pinch is some disposable wipes, or even I've used baby wipes in the past. I mean, I don't love the single-use items, but sometimes smelling like talcum powder is probably better than smelling like a gym. And the third thing you can maybe do about sweat when you arrive at your destination is just embrace the sweat. A few people said this, so maybe you not caring about your smell will spark a whole change in society's approach to body odor, and you will be seen as a pioneer. That could happen. So if you want to go down that route, I wish you the best of luck, and I will follow behind you once you've completed it. There's the suggestion anyway. And if all else fails, this suggestion came up from a number of people here in the shifter community, and that is ride an e-bike. When things get really hot, just crank up that pedal assist and you can cruise to your destination faster and with less effort than an old-fashioned pedal bike. That seems like a pretty good suggestion to me if it's within your means. So don't discount the value of an e-bike on a hot summer day. There were a couple of other suggestions that were pretty wise. It came in from people from places like Indonesia and Saudi Arabia where things get really hot, and that was some days are just too hot to ride. Just like in the winter, some days are too cold to ride. If it's too hot, don't feel like you need to ride every day. If you're one of those committed bike commuters, it's okay to take public transportation or get to work in different ways. Do what's best for you. The more you can ride, the better. But take the advice from those people who live in Riyadh or Jakarta or wherever where it's really hot is don't be a masochist about it. Riding a bike makes your life better wherever you can, but you don't have to do it every day. And there you go. Those are the suggestions. So thanks so much to all of you in the shifter community. You guys are the best. I feel so grateful that you are here helping me along in my explorations here. Remember, I've got another video coming in a couple of weeks about what to wear in the summer to keep you cool. But hopefully these tips will give you a good starting point. I think they're about 20. I don't know. I lost track. But anyway, I learned a lot out of all this, so I hope you did too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.